Welcome all, Raymond Stream Gamers. I haven't done one of these in a while, so today we're going to do a winter flight from Grand Forks to Regina, and it's a short hop, about 300 nautical miles in around that area. As you can see, we're in our United livery here and our 737 MAX, and we're going to go and see. We're going to go see how well this thing does or does not fly. I'm just setting up here, so for those, if there are people joining, I apologize, but I am getting set up. Haven't done one of these in a while, so please bear with me. I will. I thought I was set up, and apparently I was not anywhere near as prepared as I thought I was. There's a few things that I needed to do here which I didn't do. So I'm just getting that set up now. No, that's not right. I'm just trying to get signed into the chat. And that's a code that is going to there. Okay. So now there we go. Copy. Now, a friend of mine wants to sign in, so let me get him that information. There we go. And now I should be able to get my finish login here into the chat itself. 60. Again, I apologize for if anybody is here watching. Sign in. No, not now. Just sign me in. We'll do that another day. Not now. I thought I had done all of this at one point. Okay. I think I'm here. Yep, I am. All right. So here we are. Now, the one thing I can't find out is what is the audio like. Let me just test the audio here and make sure the audio is correct. All right, so here we are. Okay, that looks good. Sorry if you guys got some double audio. There is our friend Razor back. Hey, Razor. All right, here we go. Let us, as I said, we're going to be flying from Grand Forks in North Dakota to Regina in Saskatchewan. We're going to do some winter flying and night flying, so let's get ourselves in the cockpit. Our 737 United livery. This is the 737 MAX. And so I have a somewhat ulterior motive, but not really. I wanted to kind of show how well this plane does or does not fly, but at the same time, I want to do a flight. Oh, one other thing I should quickly talk about for some people. That's not what we wanted to do. For some people that are wondering, maybe Razor will know, but this is also, as the description talks about, this is also an add-on that's been added in, and you can see the lighting here everywhere. Something we don't have in the sim. This add-on is from Canuck Air Simulations, and you can find it on Sim Marketplace. All right, now, so let's get it started. Mostly everything that we're going to do here, I'm going to kind of do it based off of memory. So I've started this thing a few times over the while, over the last whatever it's been. So if I blunder and somebody sees that, by all means point it out. That'll be great. But I'm going to do my best to not blunder. Right. So first things first, we'll turn on the emergency lights, and then we'll turn on the battery. We'll turn on the ground power to make sure we got some ground power. We'll clear those errors. We'll go up here and we'll do the alignment. So as we're going through this, another thing I kind of want to point out is, I suppose that if a person is doing, some very specific flying that you require some very specific plane to do so, you might have a benefit of having, some of the higher end pay-aware planes. This is not one of those. This is not a pay-aware plane. This is a Sobo's / Microsoft's 737 Max. But it's been pretty good. Mostly everything that I use is here. So we'll put on the fuel. Now we've turned that all on. Let's get window heaters going to come on and turn that on. We'll come up later to do the anti-icing and so forth. But the next step is I want to kind of go through getting a flight plan in. So the flight plan that we're working with is, bear with me, and I will get that up and close that off. Change that to that, and SimBrief. That's not what I want. I want dashboard. I want that. Right. So SimBrief. Those that do this kind of flying are probably relatively familiar with this sort of thing. There's our flight, all been put in, and you can see our flight passes over here. One of the things that I want to highlight within SimBrief that I was not aware of is this takeoff performance. So if you come down in here and you want to get a bird's eye view of some of the settings that you actually need. If you were to go here and say I want to set full toga, or I want a D-rated takeoff, you can pick those D-rated takeoffs. So we're going to do a toga takeoff. You can decide on runways and runway length and all that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna spend too much time in here because I don't want to get bogged down by that. I'll pull in the live weather, I'll calculate, and here we can now see all of the necessary information that we need. Now, the plane does a good job of bringing most of the stuff in, but if you're missing some of it, it's here. Your flaps are set to 5, your takeoff is there, your temperature is there, and I'll go through some of the stuff where we need that information in the setup. All right. So the next thing is we want to import the flight plan and get the flight plan into the FMC. We're going to go over here and we're going to go. I have this add-on called SimBrief, and you can get that SimBrief add-on through the SimBrief website. Just as a side note, I don't use Navigraph. I don't use the Navigraph charts because, in general, the charts that are in and the airback cycles that are already in 2024, they're up to date already. I'm sure there's a small advantage, but for me in my normal flying, I don't see the advantage. So we're going to go edit, and when we go edit, and because I've got my credentials in here for SimBrief, you'll see there's my flight plan. All of that stuff is in there. We're going to hit generate. We'll let that do its generating business. Then we're going to hit import. And we're going to see that notification up there saying it's done. So then we're going to go down here, we're going to go back to the flight planner, and we're going to see in the flight planner, we now have the flight in the flight planner. If we click on the route, we will see the entirety of the route. And this route is a mirror image of what we have in SimBrief. Okay, so we can just quickly send it to the avionics and so forth. But before I do that, I want to kind of visit some of the weights and balances and how we manage or how we handle that. So under performance here, we can click on performance, we can click on mass, and we can click on environment. We're going to do mass right here. So here we can see how many seats we have. And let me close this off. We're going to get a lot of this information in SimBrief. We're going to get a lot of this information from within here. Now, we can get this directly in the sim as well, but I find it more convenient just to have this opened up on a second monitor, and then I can populate the information. So, for example, we got a full passenger load right now of 168 passengers, right? Our cargo is, what is our cargo? One of the things that I wish they would do here, which they just haven't, but I wish they would, we got 10,000 pounds in here, so that's pretty much a full load. We'll put it in that area. I wish they would give you the ability to kind of type in, what you want there in terms of the same thing with the seating as well. Right here, you can't type in. It's 100. It's a percentage. If somebody knows where to change that or adjust that, please make a comment on it. So that's cargo. Fuel. We can change it between gallons and pounds. We're going to go to pounds because our chart here tells us we need 13,130 pounds of fuel. So we're going to back that up to around 13,200. That's going to be close enough. Now, we can load this into the aircraft, and we can load it immediately. We can save the configuration and so forth. I'm just going to put this in immediately. I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to load that as well into the aircraft immediately. And I'm not sure if you actually need to do this individually. I do. So we'll load them all in immediately. So now when we go over to the FMC, we're going to be presented with this execute button. We'll execute it. Okay. We'll, just like you would do any other thing, we're just going to kind of go through all of this. We're going to put in our reference or departing airport, which is KG, where's the F? It's right there, K. Okay. We can put in our runway, and our departing runway is 17. I don't know if it takes the designator right, but let's try it. No, it doesn't. Let's go once. Oh, this is gate. Sorry, that's not runway. We don't want to do that. All right, next. Here you can request a flight plan, so we're going to request it. This is also getting it from SimBrief as well, I believe. So, like, for example, the PMDG, you're going to see this message right here. So if we load that, that's going to load it just like you would with the PMDG aircraft or any of the other versions of this, because the FMC is the same in this plane as it is in any one of the other third-party aircraft. Well, it should be anyways. So we're going to activate that. We're going to execute that, and that puts our flight plan in. We could put our flight number here, and our flight number today is UAL143. So we'll put that in. So here we can do the request. Oh, we can't do the request. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Well, we are going to climb to 36,000 feet. I must have missed something there because I'm pretty sure you can do the request. Cost index is 19. Reserve. So here's where you can get some detailed information. And if you look at your SimBrief, down here you can actually see your fuel block. Right there is your fuel block, and this is going to give you all of your information that you need. So you've got your reserve here of 5271, and the total is 6,500. Now, is that in pounds? That is in pounds. Of course it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a reserve fuel of this. I'm going to do that, and that's going to load that in for us, and now we're set here. If we go back into our SimBrief flight plan and we look at takeoff and we look at cruise and winds, right there. So wait a minute, that is on our takeoff. That isn't average. Sorry, average winds are in here. Right there, average winds 290 at 60. So we got 290/60. Put that in. Our temperature, we can get that from SimBrief as well. We kind of talked about this. Nope, here. So what was our temperature going to be? 45, right there. So we'll put in 45. And we're going to use a toga. So let's look at our departures. Let me close this down here. So we have no SID, and we do have a star. Okay. So our departing runway was 17. Yes, 17, which has been selected. And then we go back and we go to our arrival, which is 13, ILS 13, with KGFK 6. And do we have? No, we don't have a transition. Okay. So, like every other flight, if you go through here, you can decide which ones need to be gone or removed because of discontinuity and or vectors. So there we have it. We have our flight plan in. We need to now. Oh, one thing we haven't done. Again, like I said, I'm doing this based off of memory. So our flaps are going to be 5. Our CG is going to be 30. There's our V speeds. If you don't have your V speeds, again, you can get your V speeds in here. Right there's your V speeds. Okay. So now, what's next? What is next? We got our V speeds in. We are pretty much set. So our next deal that we need to take care of is, let's just make sure I've got this all cleaned up and ready to go for what I want. We're going to look at some charts. That's the word I'm trying to come up with. So charts, unlike Navigraph and the need for them, the real need for them in 2020, but in 2024 there isn't really a need. I mean, yes, they're handy. There's a neat little application. It's very integrated, and the community has adopted Navigraph as kind of the foregone conclusion. You must need it, but there is a way around it. I'm going to show you how that works. So one of the things you do is you click on here, and that's the importance of loading the flight plan in here. If you don't do that, then you will not have access to these charts. We take it off on here, and this is our departure. So we'll click that because we're going to add that in, and I'll show you what we do with that later. So we're going to go back here, and we're going to come down here for our arrival, and we're going to click on that, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go here and note that it changed, and now we're on the arrival. Our arrival was, let me back this up. Close that down. Our arrival was 13. So there's our arrival, 13. We used the KGFK 6, right? So that's what we're using as our, I think I've clicked on the wrong ones. I did. You want to click on this one, not this one. You want to click on this one. Arrival, 13. Now, if you're unsure of what you're doing here, you do have, just similar to like Little Nav Map, little Nav Map, Navigraph. Boy, I couldn't spit it out. So similar to little nav map, I'm saying again, Navigraph. Sorry. You can decide to look at each of these departures. There's your charts, right? So you can look at them. And you can make decisions. Now, we know we're using this one. That's not what I wanted to do. We know we're using this one, so I'm going to add that in. And then we're going to go to the approach and runway 13. We know we're using this one. We're going to add that one in. So now, the reasoning why we did this is to be able to decide which ones we're going to use. I'm going to just pop back here very quickly. And let's assume for a moment here we are, let's go back to our departure, which is over here. So you can see that don't have a departure, and we're using that runway. This isn't a good example. Let's go to our arrival, because there we actually do have some information that we should put in. Okay, so in our arrival, coming down here, there's Regina, and we're going to add an approach. So we can click on approach. We're going to click on 13, because that is our approach. And you can see, similar to Navigraph, you have this really neat little, showing you what that approach looks like, right? So we can decide, we can say, no, we want to use that, or we want to use that instead, or we can use a direct. So very similar. So we're going to change that. We're going to put that in, because that is actually what we're doing. And then we're going to use our there's our approach. There's our 1-3. We're going to change. We're going to change this. So if we come in here and we change this, let me come back here like this. If we were going to change this, it's the same thing. So we've picked this, but we could pick that, and we're going to see a different arrival, right? We're going to stay with the arrival that we had on a direct, because there is no transition. And then we're going to go, oops, and then we're going to go down here. We're going to look at this one here. These are the saved charts that I was referring to before. So there's our charts. Welcome. I don't need to type that. Who's that? I just saw somebody join. This Sigma. The Sigma. Welcome, Sigma. I'll apologize up front if I say your name wrong. It certainly isn't my intent, but I will try very hard not to. All right, let's carry on. So we can look at these individual charts. So there's the chart for that, and oops, and come on now, and there's your chart for that. And so similar, not the same, but similar. There's your chart. It tells you, your initial is 4,000, your final is 32 at the feathers. It gives you all of the necessary information. It's outlined a little differently than what you're used to. These aren't Jepson charts. These are Lufthansa charts, I believe is what they are. In most cases, they're Lufthansa charts. But they're charts nevertheless. Okay, here we go. Let's look at getting the rest of this thing, getting the bird configured and ready to go. We've got our alignment down. We've got our flight plan in. What is our next step? I guess we need to get the APU up. Let's do that. So, like most 737s, APU is right here. We'll get that going. We'll go through some of the bleed and so forth, and the configuration of that shortly. Once we need it, you're going to see right in here and here when the APU is alive. You're going to see the ability to switch to APU and get off of ground. It's starting right now. That's what you're seeing right there. Is it's actually starting, and we're going to be able to put the APU Gen 1, the APU gens on right here and here, and then we can get rid of ground. Okay? I really should have had that running before. Did I put on the fuel pumps? I may have forgotten that. Interesting. I believe this is true. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you need the aft fuel pump to be on in order for the APU to be functional. set this auto. We'll put the logo on. Strobe is on, and I'm just waiting for the APU to be up and live, running. You don't have to. On the 737, you don't actually have to go here and set this to your cruise altitude and so forth. I typically do because I'm just kind of sort of get used to it, but again, you don't have to. But we're 36,000. Our arrival is around 600 feet in that area, so that's what I'm going to put, 600. Note that we have our gens are online right now. So when we put our gens back on, now we're working off of the generator, and we can shut the ground power off. So the ground power is off, and now we are running on the APU gen. That's where we're getting all of our power from. All right, now we're going to start doing some configuring here, down here. We know, oops, nope, we're going to finish up here. We're going to put our hydraulics all on. We're going to put our yaw damper on. We're going to come into here because we're going to get ready for our pushback and our start. So pushback and start, we want our packs to be off. We want our isolation valve to be on. And we want the given engine to be, we want the APU bleed on, and then we want the given engine, that bleed to be on. Effectively what is happening is the APU is creating air, compressed air. If that compressed air, if I switch this on, then that sends all of that compressed air to this engine to be able to rotate it and spin it. We put the igniter on, creates heat, dump fuel, kapow, we have explosion, and the thing is running. That's the long and the short of how I understand this whole thing to work and start. Okay, before I forget, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to fire up all of the fuel pumps and get them running. These are your starters right here. So off is just that, it's off. We put it to ground, the turbine will spin, right? And then we'll introduce fuel, and like I said, kerpow, things will start running, right? Your igniters, I always leave it to both, but I think technically you're supposed to cycle the igniters from left to right, right to left, left to right, and back and forth and back and forth. I never cycle them. I just leave them like that. Okay. I'm going to go over here. We should be setting this up to our altitude. I typically will just crank it all the way up to my cruise altitude, which is 36,000. But you can incrementally climb that as well if you want to. The FMC typically does that. If there's any actual holes where it says, hey, you gotta stay at 10,000 feet for whatever period of time, then it will do just that. I'll turn the autopilot on, the auto throttle on. I'm going to put the flight directors on. And we'll set this technically whatever your V speeds are, your rotate V speeds are, you're supposed to be 10 knots above that, but I'm going to set it like this. We're going to look to see what is our runway heading, and we're going to get that from here. So if you go here, all the way into here, and you click on this, and you click on runways, and we know we're taking off runway 17, which is right here, and there's all of the important information: the length of the runway, the actual heading of the runway 177. Okay, so let's go to here, and let's set that to 177. Oops, not quite. Almost. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we got that set. I think I'm going to get rid of my yokes just because they're a nuisance. We'll set our flaps to 5 as we said we would. Our trim, let's go look in what our trim is supposed to be, 425. Now, I want to kind of stop on this a little bit. Notice that down here, you can see that I have a trim indicator of negative 27. About the only complaint that I have about this plane is just that. It's saying negative 27, but here it kind of suggests and indicates that the flaps, that the trim is set, somewhere in that 3 degree or in that 3. But I'm gonna wind this up, and you're gonna see this turn. And if somebody knows why this is, maybe this is a feature that it is supposed to be this way. It seems odd to me. So up here we're supposed to be 4.25. We're at 5 right now. I can't quite understand this. It looks like that could be where it is, right? But then also you got this little pointer here, which kind of indicates that I'm sitting at 6, yet this says 4. Just note that if you're going to fly this plane, be aware of that. Don't just presume that you have it set right. Validate it, because it's a pain when you're sitting in the negative and you're taking off and it won't rotate for you. Okay. Okay, so let's just go through here and verify that I'm ready for the next potential steps. My next step will be to push back, and because I'm taking off on runway 17, which is right there, and I am parked. Where am I parked? I'm parked over there. Oh, so we got a bit of a taxi. So we're going to push back into there, and we're going to taxi out that way. Oh, there's my good friend Razor, Mr. Razorback, sitting over there, doing what he does. Hey, Razor. We're going to light her up. So you can use a couple of different pushback utilities. I typically use this toolbar pushback utility. It's pretty good. I'll use a manual pushback, but you can use it and kind of say, hey, this is where I want to push the plane to. I typically don't do that. So let's use manual pushback. Let's release the parking brake. Let's go in reverse. And I'm using the rudder to kind of steer it, but you can likewise steer it this way. Ordinarily, you would be doing a start at this point, but ordinarily you have two pilots, and we don't have that. We have one, me, and even that might be at best half a pilot. So there's that. Okay. So we're gonna stop our pushback right there, and we're gonna stop our pushback. Our park brake is on. We're gonna go up here and we're just gonna do a little bit of adjustments. Let's. I'm gonna turn that on. I'm gonna turn the taxi light on. So as we said, we kind of went through here and we've looked at this stuff. We're going to start the number 2 engine first. Our isolation valve is set to open. Our packs are off, and our bleed is on. When we hit this, what should be happening, and let's find out if it is, but what should be happening is that engine should be rotating. It looks like it might be, but maybe not. Let's, hang on. That's why I said bear with me, because I'm doing a lot of this from memory. No. There. Ground. And AP was on. Packs are off. Bleed is on. I don't think that's supposed to be in auto. I think that's supposed to be in open. Are we getting rotation? Here we are. Oh yeah, we are getting rotation. It's just not doing a very good job of showing it, but rotation is taking place nevertheless. So let's put the fuel on. Go back down here and watch this. That should be running already. I've missed something. I can guarantee you that. I have missed something. Let me just go back and verify, validate that isolation valve is on. Bleed is on. I mean, I'll put the other bleed on, but I shouldn't have to. Packs are off. That engine should be rotating and fuel should be there. It should be running. All right. Wow. Oh, there it goes. That's interesting. I wonder if it is because I double checked or I second guessed myself and turned this to auto, and I just didn't wait. But that engine is coming alive now. Trying to rotate so you can get a bird's eye view there. That engine is running. And you know that it's running when you go up here. I think I had another hotkey set. When this switch is going to click, when that engine is completely running, there, see it clicked off, and you see the generator turned on. So we're going to put that generator on. We're going to put that to continuous. Now that engine is fully running, ready to go. We're going to start the second engine. I guess we'll come down and look, make sure rotation is taking place. Yes, you see, rotation is taking place right here. This typically 2, and now we go down to give it some petrol, and that should spin it up. There she goes. Nope, not quite. It will. Yeah, ground is on. Okay. Okay, so let's we'll let that finish spooling up. I'm just going to double check to make sure I've got everything set. We'll put our LNAV, we'll put our VNAV on. And what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Going to hit the B button to get my that turned on. We're going to go up here and we're going to put our taxi. Oops, our taxi was on. We'll put our runway on. So anybody who does any kind of flying with me will very quickly realize that I very often don't do all of the lights like they're supposed to be. So just be mindful of that. That is a thing. The engine is spinning, but it just feels like, I wonder if it's because I should shut that off. Oh, there, see, the generator just turned on. Which means that engine is spooling up. Oops, wrong one. It's starting to spool up. And again, if we go up here, we're going to see this is going to click to off. And as soon as it clicks to off, we'll put the generator on, and then we'll switch it to continuous. There it goes. Put the generator on, we'll switch it to continuous. We're going to turn off that. And we're going to turn off the APU. And we're done. And now we're going to come up here to the overhead. I want to get a bird's eye view of it so you all can see it. So here we're going to turn this off. We're going to turn that off. We're going to set that to auto. We're going to put the packs to auto. And the packs, for those that don't understand, the packs is the heating and cooling that it goes into the cabin, both the cockpit as well as for the people in the back there, so they don't freeze and or cook to death back there. In this case, they'll freeze because it's pretty gosh darn cold. Right. I think we're taxing. I think we're getting ready to taxi. Now, I utilize this for taxing. Those that don't know this is a little nav map. Here we are sitting right here. We're going to taxi. We're going to come here. We're going to go up here. We're going to come across. 17 left is where we're taking off on, and off we go. Okay. I will spend just a moment here. So those that don't know how to use this, if you go to here, you can right click on here and you can see your departures. Now in this case, because there is no actual departure, it doesn't show up. But let's look at Regina and let's go to show arrivals. So there's your arrivals. So you can pick the runway, which is 13. You can pick the Kim K6, which is the arrival that we're coming on, and you can hit that, and you can go down here and go that, show. Now when we look over here, we actually see what our arrival is. We're coming here, coming this way. This dotted line is because there's a vector, and we're expected to, in real flying, I guess, you would be expect to have ATC to vector you from here to here to pick this up. We will just fly that direct. We won't be using ATC or vectoring for that. So let me move this over here. Okay, now, let me just verify all of this looks right. I'm going to go down here because I'm seeing something here that doesn't quite look right to me. So we're going to do this, and we're going to come here, and we're going to look at legs. Well, that's the leg here, and then we go to the next one. So I presume that we're in good shape. If not, we'll correct that later when we get in the air. All right, let's taxi, shall we? Brakes off, and let's give it a little bit of gaze. Let me know if the engine sounds are too loud, if they're too overpowering for you guys. So although there's a lot of other makers of planes out there that are really good, I mean, you know, like PMDG, Phoenix, Init Builds, these developers, and I'm sure there's more that I can't quite come up with, but these developers, they've done amazing jobs with their aircraft. And for those that are flying and wanting to utilize all of those features and functions that those planes have to offer, I'm on board with having those planes. I think it's a good idea. I wonder if the vast majority of us use very little of, look at the lighting there, man, that's crazy. That's good. Use very little of all of the features that these payware planes have to offer. When you have, if you have Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, you have access to this plane. Not only do you have access to this plane, but you have access to a raft of planes that fly really good. Their functionality is really good, like the A321 in 2024 from Asobo. It's good. It's every bit as good as this plane. It functions. It you know, all of the buttons and doodabbers that you expect to work do work. It's not like it was in 2020 where so much of the plane's features weren't there. 2024, they've really stepped up their game on the quality of the aircraft. Again, I know that there's people out there that are going to say, yeah, but it's not, and you guys are right. It isn't to the same level. The average flying guy, girl, probably doesn't use any of the stuff that's in there. but for maybe 1 or 2 times because they experiment with it because it's nice. After that, everything you saw me do in certain terms of setting up a flight and flying, you saw me do the things that almost everybody does, I believe, and nobody uses all of those fancy features that these paywear planes do. And again, if you're one of those people that love flying and having access to all of those paywear things, good on you, and I think it's well worth it. I have a number of paywear planes that I've paid good money for and that I fly, and I think they're neat and I think they're great too. This has changed the game for me. This add-on. Whoops! I should be paying attention to taxing, but this add-on has changed the game. These lights are amazing, and it is lights that you just don't have in anywhere else. I should have made a note of it, but if you look up Canuck Air, and if you go to on Sim Marketplace, that is, if you go to look up Canuck Air, you will see all of the offerings that they have there, and one of them is this global lighting package. It's impressive. It lights up over 5,000 medium and large airports around the world. And this is a really small airport that we're at, Grand Forks. It's a really small airport, and it's got lighting here. And it's amazing. If you do any kind of night flying or want to do any kind of real life flying, like that's like typically, I should have checked this before I'm about to say what I'm going to say, but typically I am lifetime live weather. And here, if you're here and you don't have lighting like this, the terminal, the ramp, all of it is dark. All right, enough of that rambling. Let's double check out there, and let's double check out there. Everything is kosher. Well, one thing I didn't turn on, which I typically always turn on, and that is the FLT by Fly-by-Wires. This is a really neat add-on. The live stream is not about add-ons, trust me, but I find myself using this. It just adds that level of realism to the sim, where you can see live planes flying around, not just other simmers, but live planes and actual real commercial planes flying around. I think it's fantastic. It does take a little while to turn itself on, so I'll move that over here. There we go. Getting that started up, and then we're going to turn on one more add-on that I always have turned on. That's this one here. Transmitter. Okay, so let's just take a peek around. There is nobody out in the skies because we are out in the middle of nowhere land. So we're gonna come on now. Let's just start rolling. Onto the runway we go. I will do my level best of not making the takeoff miserable, but I can't make any promises. So let's go up here and turn this on, turn that. And let's do this. Okay, now let me go and look at one thing here quickly before we get ready to go. I just did Razor, it's on. Transmitter is the thing that I've been asked to turn on. For those that don't know about transmitter, I guess we should talk briefly about that as well. So transmitter is this little application. You can get it from virtualflights.online. It's a small little application. It allows you to see other simmers here. And if you look here, is that my friend over there? I believe that's my friend over there. Maybe not. Razor is here somewhere. I can see him. He's taxiing right there. But I don't know why I don't see him in here. I should see him. I should see him taxiing. And I don't. That's interesting. Let me just make sure. Disconnect, connect. And let me make sure I've got this set right. I may not. I do. He'll show up eventually. He'll show up eventually. Okay, so here we are. Let's. One of the problems that this plane has is that light right there, and I cannot figure out how to shut that off. So if anybody knows how to shut it off, in the comment section, tell me how to shut it off, because it is all kinds of annoying in terms of brightness, especially at night. All right. We are going to. Got that. I got that set. I got that set. I believe I'm ready to go. So let's. I like to spin them up a little bit before we light them up. There she goes. Now I'm going to focus and pay attention. 70. We may not have enough runway here. I guess we're going to lift. There she goes. And wild blue she comes. So we'll get it turned on the path here. We're not climbing too fast. Okay. It's interesting that it's not climbing. Oh, duh. Gear up. Forgot to do the gear up. That's a problem. This is also a problem. That's interesting. Wow. Why would that do that? I've never had that happen before. Let me just verify. Did I turn that up? I did.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
We don't actually have anything on up. That's weird. Well, I'm at a loss here. I guess I will try to fly it manually until I can get all this lit back up again. This is the first time this has ever happened to me. I'm confused. What is the problem? I mean, the engines are running. Yeah. Yeah, the engines are running. Okay. What did I forget? What did I forget? I keep coming up here because I feel like I must have forgot something up here, but I don't think it did. I don't think it did. APU is off. That's set to auto. That's right. That's right. That's on. That's on. Continuous. That should have really been switched back to auto. Well, there is no reason for this to not have I'm going to go up here and recycle the IRS alignments. The generator's got to be on, but it almost feels like the generators are not on, and we have no power. I think what we'll do is we will attempt to restart the APU. Although that doesn't make sense because we have power. This is running, unless that's all running on battery. APU is starting, so that's good. So if our problem is power, we will get that corrected here shortly. I don't think that's it. I think there's a bug here or a glitch or something. The IRS alignment isn't aligning, and I think that's an issue. That's the issue. We'll continue to troubleshoot, but. Okay, so the generators are available. There should be a light here that pops up. Let's go see. Turn on. I think you might be check the departure runway. Okay. I don't know. I'm not sure why we're not having that, nor are we having this enabled, turned on. That's the biggest problem. Part of the problem that we have is the FMC is not powered. I'm guessing what we're going to do is we're going to turn back because we can't be flying the whole flight like this. So I think we're going to declare a Mayday and we're going to go back. That's what I think we're going to do. We're going to keep the APU lit. Let's see if our heading control is working. It looks like heading control is working. I can't see what I've turned the heading to because none of this is lit up, but it is working. So we're gonna turn the plane around and we're gonna start heading back, and we're gonna call this a mayday and get back to Grand Forks. Thing is, we don't even know well, we know our speed is 280. What I don't know is, by flying with heading on, is it actually going to fly an actual heading? Well, it does look like it's straightening up, doesn't it? So it is flying a heading, although it doesn't indicate. So we can, so now that we know that it's doing that, we can turn this. Right, so we're going to head back. We're not going to do an ILS landing because I don't know if I can rely on any of the instruments. We don't have an FMC. And so we're going to, yeah, we're going to do a manual return back to there. We're going to, what are we going to do? We're going to attempt. Now, the fortunate thing is, for me, I have, I'll show you what I'm using. We took off from here, and there we are right there. So I'm going to bring it back here, probably somewhere around here. I've got no risk of, it doesn't look like, feel like I have a risk of catastrophic failure. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to bring it there. I'm going to fly it, attempt to fly it at this runway heading. Hang on. I'm going to use the long runway. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to fly a runway heading-ish, but we're going to use the long runway. That's probably the runway I should have taken off in the first place. So we're going to come in on 3.5 is the plan. Yep, that is the plan. Okay, so let me move this over here. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. Oh, that's not what I want. I want to turn this dial. Okay. Yeah. So it'll be strictly a visual. Do have some instruments. We don't have all of them, but man, I just don't understand what happened there. My guess is it's something I've done, but I don't know what. I just don't know what I could have done that could have made this happen. Turn a bit more. I should turn a bit more than that. Again, I have no heading reference. I guess I have this as a heading reference, so I can use that, I guess. Yeah, I can use that. That is a reference. Ordinarily, you wouldn't have access to that if you're flying a plane in the real world. In the real world, you'd be kind of in the dark. I guess you would in the real world. You would be able to use this. Airport is right there, and that's me. So I'm about straight south of the airport. I'm guessing I'm about 20 miles, and I'm purposely coming out this far like I am. What I should be doing is see, now I have no idea what my altitude is, and I keep on climbing. That's a thing. How do I stop that from climbing? There, that's how I do it. So I'm at 24,000 and I want to come down. So if I do that, that does let me descend. Okay. So we have control of that as well. Let me get this to come down. I can't determine what I'm coming down to, what altitude I'm coming down, so I can't determine that. So what I will do is 24,000. Okay. My friend Razor is kind of walking me through a little bit here. I'm descending. I believe I'm descending at about 1,000 feet a minute. I'm going to attempt to come down to about 10,000 or so, and then I will make a turn back toward the airport. I think I could turn back now already. Turning back. What was my runway heading that I was going to come in on? 357. I do have speed indicator there, so that part is good. I need to find a way to slow the bird down. I can do that right here. I have an indicator right there as well. So that part's good. Very good. Okay. looking for 357. My turn is a bit wide. All right, thanks, Sarah Razor. I've turned a bit too much. So I'm kind of going on a bit of an angle toward the feathers. Now I am about 35 or so miles from the airport. I'm going to try to get to come down a little quicker because I'm still 18,000 feet. I can probably pull this in. Okay. The airport is over there somewhere, amongst all them lights there, I think. But I need to slow the bird down again. I don't have a lever for this, but I'm going to get one because I'm 30 miles out. Thank you. Yeah, at 30 miles out, I should be fine to kind of turn it in and get it down. I mean, I am still 16,000 feet, but my speed isn't terrible. Yeah, well, this was supposed to be a flight that was showing all the wonders of this plane. This has never happened to me, and I've flown this plane quite a bit, so I don't know. Maybe it isn't quite ready for for the big guys. Look, I say that in jest because, like I say, I've flown this plane a lot, and because I can't fly the 737, I have the PMDG 737-700. I can't fly it in here. I can, but I can't fly it well, and it doesn't work 100%. And I'm waiting for them to release it, but it won't be until February. So I've been flying this thing ever since it was announced that the PMDG wasn't going to work in 2024. Okay, I'm not quite lined up. I thought that was the runway. That is, but I want that runway over there. So we're going to be high. We need to slow down. And then we need to make sure the gear is going to come out and all that good stuff. Yeah, I didn't think of that, did I? That's pretty much lined up already. If I were to go to that heading now, 354. It's going to be close enough that when we get in there, I'll disconnect the autopilot. Obviously, the plane is still working in autopilot to some degree, which is good. I think I need to turn another degree or so over. And I need to continue. I wonder if I should drop a stage of flaps. I am in flap range at 200 knots. Oh, this is nonsense. Okay. 22 out. I'm still at 9,000, but I think I'll be fine. I just got a call and I'm 22 nautical miles out, so I think I'm going to be fine coming in. I can see the runway. Presumably, this is the runway I want right there. No, I want that runway. Yeah. So we'll turn ourselves in a bit. And now we'll start watching 200 knots. Yep. And now we'll start. Now we'll start watching. Yeah, I think we're going to be just. I think we're going to just be stellar. 7,000 runway. Airport altitude is 800 feet. I'm getting a play-by-play, as it were, from Razor. Go left, 354. Yep. And left. So I'm going to go over more left because I do need to go left more, and he can see that. He has he's got access to transmitter, and he's watching me on transmitter. Okay, turn ourselves back in. Our altitude is going to be fine. We're going to start gear and flaps here in a minute. We're just about 10 miles out at 4,000 feet. All right, I think we're going to shut everything off, and we're going to fly it. And here we go. I was somewhat hopeful that it was going to straighten itself out. I would find what the mystery was, but I did not. So what we'll do is we'll land it, and I'll probably end the stream there because I don't want to do it again to find out that it isn't working. But I will end the stream there, and then I think what I'll do is I will shut it down, and I will restart it off stream, and I'm going to do the flight and see if I can understand what happened. If I do understand what happened, I will, in the comment section, I will post in the comment section as to what was the cause of the flight. What happened. If I can come up with what happened, I will do that. Oh, Razor. Yes, sir. It never happened to you before. Just a whole bunch of other stuff has happened. You guys don't see it. He's typing on another medium here, but yeah. All right. Gear down, which I didn't do. Slow her down. I should have had the gear down way before this, but it looks like it did come on, so 3 locked. That's good. A little low. A lot low. Should have put my landing lights on. I didn't. Maybe I didn't even take them off.
100, approaching minimums. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Well, that'll put us on the ground. Should have a bunch of emergency crew out here, I would imagine. We don't, but we should have. Let me put some lights on the situation here so that we can actually see. There we go. All right. We made it on the ground. Thanks, Razor. We made it on the ground, and trying to understand what we're beeping about here. Flaps are up. Yeah. All right, so it didn't go to plan. Clearly not. The plan was we were going to fly all the way to Regina, and we didn't make it there. But we did get on the ground. We did get it put back on the. Yeah, we did get it put back on the ground, and so that part's good. As I said, I'm going to cut the stream here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut it off cold and dark at the gate again, and I'm going to do the start again. I won't do that on stream, but I will go through the process one more time, and then we will see what we can figure out. All right, I'll appreciate for all of you that have watched it and that are going to watch it. Here's what happens when you have a failure. Until the next stream, bye-bye now.